weep grana, weep ninny bong, and welcome back to the Justin Network. And today we will be looking at another Star Raider from the Transformers Legacy United line. It's a deluxe class, it's locked down, and this is your boy. Alright, so let's get him open so we can see if he is good as some of these other Star Raiders we've looked at on the channel. Alrighty then, we got him out of the box, and here is Lockdown, the Star Raider. Some of y'all might remember Lockdown from Cyberverse, IDW. He was in the live action Bayverse movies there. He looked a little different. He was like a intergalactic bounty hunter. Oh look, his hands will spin there, which I was expecting. They're a little tough spinning that way. They're definitely tight. So just be very careful. Don't break the hand. Right? Can he spin? Oh, yeah. And he's got the neck. That's kind of classic Lockdown look there from his animated look, his IDW look, whatever you want to say. And he can kick up to there, kick back to there. Gonna get a knee bend at that sharp point there. My leg! Did come off, supposed to come off. So this is the same mold they use for axle grease, if y'all know Legacy axle grease. And she's a junkie on. So it was part of a weaponizer's gimmick they're doing. So you could basically take him all apart to use him as equipment or weapons or whatever for other figures. That's basically what the mold was for, and so this Lockdown figure can also do that. It's the way he's built though, it does have a little bit of an issue at just standing at attention straight. I don't like how there's so much going on here. It feels like these are too far up. I don't know, it feels like they need a little more width to them this way. They feel deep this way. I don't know, something just doesn't feel right with his shoulders there. And his legs, as you can see, with his feet and legs, he just doesn't want to be flat there. He wants to wobbly wobble back and forth a little bit.
The weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
So, you know, unfortunate. The back looks absolutely terrible. Just one solid color. You know, this actually feels a little cheap, and this looks really cheap on the back here. And the figure feels a little cheap for a Legacy figure, if I'm being honest. So, you know, a little negative there, Hasbro. A little disappointed on that side of it so far. Let's see if he can. Nope, no T-pose for him. Didn't think so. More of an umbrella pose. How about, though, can he... By the way, I don't know if I said that. That spins all the way around there. Wait a minute. Has he got... Yeah, he's got two bends there. See? One there and one there. So that adds a little bit extra movement for him. Can he... Oh, yeah. Easy. The full Jean-Claude Van Damme, no problem. Wait a minute. Hey, yo, he's literally doing it. Standing on his own and everything with it. Heck yeah, what a good Jean-Claude Van Damme pose. I don't know, this just feels like a really old figure. Cheaper, I don't know. This is super loosened through here, and I actually see why. It's because I think this can slide out.
Look how they mess with my boy.
Yeah, it can. The arms can pop off. Oh crap. Can it slide out? I think it can, but not the way I just did that. I just popped that off. But the arms can pop off, part of that weaponizer gimmick that he's got going on. I don't know, just an overall bit of a cheap feeling to the old boy here. How about we look at his accessories though? He's got quite a few actually. So we can take these two right here. Right, and we're gonna plug them in on here, I believe. Let's look. Yeah, but it'd help if I put it on the right side, I reckon. We'll do that like that. This like this. So that gives him a little bit of an extra look. A little better from the side there, but you know, it doesn't do much for the full frontal there.
What?
Now we've also got a couple bits here. We can take this boy, plug it in right here, give him a blaster on the side of his arm. So what we're actually going to do is put it on that side, and then what we've got is this bit you know, kind of the same as the opposite end. It just has a little bit different coloring. But what you'll do is then you've got this little hook. Alright, so we're going to do that. We're going to plug this on there. I don't really know why they did it this way. I feel like they could have done it a better way, but that is how you give him a hook hand, like Lockdown is known to possibly have sometimes, and it adds to his whole Star Raider look. Probably the only reason they ever made him a Star Raider for this line is because he's got the hook hand. He's known for having a hook hand. But you've obviously got different options with it. You don't have to put it there as like a legit hook hand. You could put it here so it looks more like a weapon of a harpoon top company. You know, we got that. But then we've also got, so you can see these arms and such are pretty darn loose, making him spin around all easy, a little too easy for my comfort. But he's also got this. They left a piece out. No way.
You left a piece out. No way.
So there's supposed to be 2 of these. I only have 1. Dang it. So that's a blaster you could have. There's supposed to be another one that is the exact same. It mirrors it. You just plug it in. Double weapon. Dang, that stinks. So you have all these different other spots that you could plug stuff in to hide it away if you wanted to for, you know, that accessory storage, but dang, that stinks. But he does look heavily weaponed up. He looks a little overkill almost with all these different accessories plugged in and on his body. But, you know, these are just options. You ain't got to put them all on there. There's other ways to hide them away with some of those other holes you can plug them into. But that just shows you all of your options. I'll probably be able to contact Hasbro Pulse because that's where I got it from, and hopefully get the other gun here that's missing because that's pretty unfortunate. Let's get though real quick before we do anything else. I forgot to do this. Look at that face sculpt, and as you see, he has the Decepticon symbol painted onto his chest for some reason. He actually doesn't have the Star Raider symbol anywhere on this body, which extra makes me think that possibly this was not going to be part of the Star Raiders line and they just decided, let's throw him in there. But let's go ahead and measure this guy up. If we go to the highest point of his body, not counting these parts, it's going to be 5 1/4. If you count to those parts, it's going to be almost 6 inches exactly. If you go to shoulder pauldron, into shoulder pauldron, it's going to be about 2 7/8. So that's kind of how he stacks up in his measurements. How about we get him transformed, see what he looks like in that outfit. All right, now here's Lockdown in his post-apocalyptic truck mode thing. Yeah, basically that's what it's supposed to be, is like a post-apocalyptic type truck. And I think it looks very cool. I think that it's got these holes and these puzzle piece looking bits. It's all right, because it's not supposed to just look like a plain old car. I think with some, when you have that, it really ruins the aesthetic, makes it feel like more like a toy. Where this one, it works with it just because it doesn't look like an actual vehicle, because it's not supposed to. The bottom looks pretty good as well. Pretty covered up. There's obviously some empty bits right here, but overall, this is one of the best bottoms we've probably ever looked at when it came to a vehicular Transformer toy. The bed here, as you can see, I'm a little upset about this bit right in here because you can just see his hands and his arms, and that's a little frustrating. From the back, that doesn't look too bad. It definitely looks a little blocky, maybe? I don't know. But, you know, not too bad. I think overall they did a really good job with this alt mode. I would honestly say that this is probably better than the bot mode. Interesting. Is he actually? Yeah, he's rolling. That's funny. I almost can't even tell that the wheels are moving. They are. You can hear them, but that's funny. I almost couldn't even tell. So, now it's time for an upgrade, right? Let's take these, pop them in right here. Let's see, let's put them about like that. About like that. Okay. Yep. Then we'll take these bits, plug this into here, plugs in like that. Okay. Okay. Now we plug, oh my goodness, in like this. And now that back looks awesome. That was like my only issue, right? Was the back there. And oh my gosh, it looks awesome. Now, this alt mode is incredible. I'm gonna say this alt mode is way better than the bot mode. That's cool. You could plug in the hook right there, obviously, to either of those, or you could just plug it into that hole right there. Either one you want to do. Man, that's cool. That's very, very cool. It looks a whole lot better. Now it's almost like a sedan more so than a truck. Post-apocalyptic car type look. Now, you know what would make it even cooler? If it had its engine sticking out up here and it could blast. Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah, but I'm missing the other part, so I can't do it completely. But you guys get an idea. So this is the vehicle, the best I can do right now without missing that. You can kind of imagine what it's going to look like. And man, this alt mode is incredible. I would say much, much better than the bot mode. In my opinion, I'd like to know what you all think. Let me know in the comments. But let's measure them out here. From end to end, it's going to be about 5 inches. If you go to the end of the hook to the end, it's going to be closer to 5.5. And then car is going to be about 2 1/8 maybe. If you count in these little exhaust bits, it's going to be a little closer to 2 1/4. So that gives you an idea of how big this vehicle is, what its measurements are. From the ground, it's slightly under 2 inches. But yeah, man, I like this. I like this a lot. I'll probably display him in this, if I'm being honest. I don't know. We'll see. But let's go ahead and transform back. We got a couple of things we actually have to look at. Alright, here's the bad boy transformed back in his bot mode. How about we put him next to some other Transformers we've recently looked at on this channel, just so you can kind of get an idea of how he scales with those figures. First up, you got Legacy Core Class Bombers, as you can see. Deluxe Class, Core Class. Nice little size difference still, yeah. Now we've got Legacy Evolution Orion Packs, the Data Clerk from a 2-pack. We got him side by side. Lockdown's a little bit taller, I guess you could say, but that has a lot to do with the shoulder bits. Now we have him with the Star Raider Voyager Class, Ferric. I feel like, honestly, Lockdown should have been a Voyager class. I think if Ferric can be a Voyager class, this should have been another Voyager class that they did in this line instead of just all those Deluxes. I think Lockdown would have made a little more sense being that size. Now we've got him with Combiner Wars Leader Class Thundercracker. And as you can see, quite a big size difference, and this does not scale properly in universe. Alright, now it's time to rank this dude, and we'll start off in functionality. Remember, functionality is going to be about his articulation, his posing, the accessories storage, all that good nonsense. In this department, I gave him an 8, because he pretty much has somewhere to put all of his accessories in both modes. Also, has a lot of accessories. He also has a lot of articulation, right? So, really the only thing he doesn't have an articulation, I mean, he can't T-pose, so maybe that's more of a knock against his posing than his articulation. Other than that, I mean, he's got about everything. He has a wrist spin and everything. So, yeah, pretty impressed. He can't spin his feet all the way around, but he has a lot of movement in those feet. A lot more than you would expect, I would say. I think he gets an 8. I think he deserves an 8. Now on to transformation. And the transformation department, you're getting graded upon how creative was the transformation, how easy was it to do, how hard was it, how fun was it, and all those bits put into one. And he is right on the line between a 6 and a 7. I decided to go with a 6, and I'll tell you why. When you're transforming him, at least from an alt mode to the bot mode, he tends to come apart. His legs want to come off, his arms want to come off. In a certain sense, that makes it easier. But in another sense, I know that's not the intended way. It's not a parts former. It's not supposed to be a parts former. It is supposed to be just a transformer. And he's supposed to stay together when you transform back and forth. That's kind of a hard thing to do when he's wanting to come apart a lot. So that's a little bit of a knock. Creativity, thought it was pretty solid. Does have a lot of tabbing in together, but funny enough, this figure actually tabs in together pretty well. A lot of times when you've got tabbing on figures, I don't end up liking it because they don't go in very well. Not deep enough holes, not long enough pegs. Whichever ends up being the issue, usually it's one or the other or both. This one didn't really have that issue. I appreciated that. Now, was it a fun transformation? That's where I'm going to say not really. I think that's why it gets a 6 over a 7, but, you know, I think it's on that line. Now, last but not least, we have appearance. Appearance is going to be rated upon how good does he look in his bot mode, how good does he look in the alt mode, and how well does he portray the character he's supposed to be looking like, which is Lockdown, kind of a combination of the animated Lockdown, IDW Lockdown, more IDW than animated, and just kind of with a modern look to him. So, you know, we put all those in together. I think he's right on the borderline of 6 and 7. I went 7, and I'll tell you why. So like I said, his bot mode, not my favorite. The back was pretty abysmal. I forgot how bad it was. So it almost makes you want to go to a 6. Going to stick with the 7 though. I think we may change before I'm done here, but this bot mode is not great. I think it could have been better. The paint applications and such on the front looks pretty good. These shoulders are a little wonky in my opinion. Don't love the way they look. Outside of that though, they did pretty good with the bot mode. The back is really bad and it takes a lot away from it in my opinion. And those shoulders are just not perfect. They're not terrible, but they're just not the best. I think they could have been a lot better. But how about that alt mode? Boy howdy, that's one of my favorite alt modes we've probably ever had on this channel, at least when it comes to the vehicular department. I thought it looked pretty good. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it was magnificent. I thought it was cool. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a lot of things, obviously. But all those adjectives are true, not just being silly, because it was a very good mode. Like I said, he looks like what he's supposed to look like. Bot mode is pretty good from the front, not so good from the back. He gets that 7. I think that's a fair grade to give him. Now, I'd like to know what you all thought. Let me know in the comments. Did I properly rate him? Or maybe I didn't give him a fair shake. You let me know what you think. Guys, I just want to say I appreciate you all. Please continue to like, subscribe, share, comment. All those things are pretty easy to do. Pretty quick little thing to do. And it helps the channel out a lot. A lot. And I just want to say, guys, I really appreciate you all. Really love you all. Stay tuned, because next week we will have another Transformers video. Till then, I'm going to leave you with a until all are one.